Greetings, fellow mortals. Just a reminder, saying it's just my opinion is for cowards. Of course it's my opinion. Why do I need to say this to justify my take? That's stupid. Now, Takamaki is a complicated character. At the start of Persona 5, she's at the front of the plot. She's the first party member that Joker meets. She's perhaps the first person to have any sort of at least neutral interaction with him. Although he really needs to pick his jaw up off the floor. You're not very subtle, bro. Her initial interaction with Kamoshida hinted that something was very, very wrong. The animated scene with her getting into Kamoshida's car was brilliantly done, cementing her as someone trapped, being driven in a direction that she did not want to go. Then, we have the parts where she calls out Joker for his excuse for being late, because it's obviously a lie. Her close friendship with Shiho, who we instantly have sympathy for because of the bruises. The part where she's pursued by Kamoshida to sleep with him, and dealing with Shiho's attempts to put an end to it all. All of it escalates to where she finally takes her own life in her own hands, awakening her persona and fighting against the man who would use and abuse her. There's a reason that the start of Persona 5 is so captivating. While it's a slow start as a game, no one comments on that part because of how invested you are as the player in defeating Kamoshida.
I hate you!
If there's one theme surrounding An in this arc and in Persona 5 in general, it would be taking ownership, command, and control over her own sexuality. That's the entire point of her outfit and persona. This is how she sees someone who rebels, which is fascinating in Japan. It's a very different culture than in America, especially when it comes to sex. It's far more hush-hush over there. And I'm saying this as a guy that grew up in the Bible Belt. This might be my warped perspective, but Japan seems to be that, but without the threat of burning in hell for all eternity, or without a bunch of pastors telling you that you're going to be a sex addict. True story. Just regular old shame over there. Her dominatrix outfit and Carmen persona represents Anne's hatred over not having control over her own body. Kamoshida was using her. The boys view her as a piece of meat. The girls hate her for her looks. Everyone looks down on her for being part American. Anne cannot control how she was born, but she can sure as hell control what she does with it, to make sure that others don't look and touch without her consent. It's not that she hates this aspect of herself. Her persona awakening represents her accepting that she in fact likes this aspect of herself. She likes having control over her body and over sex in general, and that she views it as her weapon against the world.
You see, it's the slow knife, a knife that takes its time, then slips quietly between the bones. That's the knife that cuts deepest.
The ending to the Kamoshida section of Persona 5 ties this all up in a bow. An chooses to spare Kamoshida when she has the chance to kill him, and chooses to make him live in shame instead of putting an end to his own life. Anne chooses to continue with the Phantom Thieves. Her choices are her own now, and she won't let anyone take that away from her ever again, not even for the mission. A lot of people have a problem with the nude painting scene with the next palace. They claim that this takes away all of the progress An made during the first palace. But let me ask you this. When did Persona 5 ever claim that people wouldn't still try to steal Anne's ownership of herself away from her? Yusuke in the Madarame arc is someone's first attempt to take An's agency away from her. While mad about this, I thought that it was interesting because An isn't about to let him do that. Instead, she turned it around so that she was manipulating Yusuke. Creeps and people who want to use her will not magically disappear, no matter how much we all want that to happen. But An is determined to make use of her amazing acting skills to make sure that no one ever tells her to do something that she does not want to do.
Right.
Okay, while the acting aspect of that was a joke, the rest of it wasn't. An was never going to do the nude painting scene because she didn't want to. That's the point. People will still try to get her to do what they want. She's just determined to keep control over her bodily autonomy from now on, to make it her weapon to use it against her enemies. I think this is shown well even in the fan service moments. 3 come to mind. When they get rained out of the fireworks show, which I don't know if that counts. An shows more than that on a regular basis anyway. In the desert, where An punishes the boys for annoying her while she's overheated, and at the beach, which is the best one by the way, because she just makes fun of Ryuji for being attracted to her. That is hilarious to me. And there's the moment in Hawaii where she stays in the boys' room and has no problem with it. She trusts her teammates not to do anything. Her relationship with the guys is sweet, although some of the times where she has to wave off Ryuji's perverseness is weird, but I do like the continued themes of An taking control over the situation. Things happen when she says so. That's the important distinction with her, because it's not like she's a person that doesn't recognize her looks or the effect that she has on people. This woman is a model, for God's sake.
I feel pretty, oh so pretty. I feel pretty and witty and gay.
And that leads into her confidant. When I first played the game, I didn't particularly like this part. I was more interested in An's relationship with Shiho. I did not care about her rivalry with Mika at first. But later, I decided that I liked what they were going for, even if I do not think they executed everything perfectly. It was time to either take a dump or get off the pod. Does An actually want this? Does she want to be a model? Does she want to do more than just take ownership of herself? Does she want to take it a step further and weaponize her looks and her sexuality for her benefit? Did she want to be like the rebel that she idolizes? Then she needed to go all in with it and actually try. She needed to strengthen her resolve. She needed to train for it. She couldn't just rely on her natural good looks. While it seems a little silly from the outside, this is kind of like a sports movie, and I love taking peeks into worlds that I don't particularly know much about. The modeling industry in Japan has to be a unique animal, and tying that into Shiho's resolve to recover and live worked really well. To be fair, I wanted a bit more of that. There were some things I wanted fleshed out. I'd like a little bit more show and not tell in this case, but I think that we can't argue with the results, which are ranks 9 and 10 of An's confidant. All this isn't to say that everything about An's themes is done perfectly. While I don't have a problem with An using her looks to help her in combat, I despise whenever An is knocked off balance and put in a compromising position. It completely takes away from her story. And I'm not going to act like some of the things she does and says aren't there simply to meet the expectations of a certain male audience, and Atlus still has to make that money after all, so they're going to use her character in every way possible to sell merchandise, which, I don't know, kind of takes a little bit away from her themes, but whatever. And hey, you're allowed to hate the fan service scenes and the painting scene. There is an alternate view that the writers simply forgot what they were doing here and went with the normal jokey tropes. I could be reading into something that wasn't there to begin with. I'm not going to say that everything done about and around An's character fits perfectly in with her themes. There were a few stumbles because I really don't have a whole lot of skin in the game here. This is a drawing of a teenage girl. It doesn't do much for me. She is not my waifu. I'm not going to care if you criticize her. I care more about her personality and story compared to anything else. Now, Tae, on the other hand, well, you can ask my wife, who is a nurse, what my tastes are.
Hello, nurse.
Overall, I think that An is probably one of the best handled characters in Persona 5, and one of the better confidants. There's a lot of subtlety to her writing. Not everything is perfect, but there was an attempt to do something different with her. It's not like other games, books, movies, or television shows handle this sort of thing any better in any country. They don't even try to anymore. Fiction seems to be becoming more sterile and puritanian with each passing year. How many writers even try to accomplish what they did with An Takamaki? Not many. It's different, it's unique, it's endearing, and most importantly, there's a fundamental truth behind it. Countless women get used and abused in real life, and it's terrible, and obviously I wish that it would stop. Even if Persona 5 stumbles with the storyline, you have to respect the writers for pointing a finger at the issue. Plus, we live in the age of OnlyFans. More women are weaponizing their bodies for their own benefit now than ever before. As long as it's actually their choice and they are the ones in control, I don't care about what they do. It is their business, not mine. But I think character writing like on Takamaki would really help people understand this perspective better. While some aspects of On stumbles, I think the writers accomplished a lot here. Just maybe next time we could do it with a character that is not in high school, yeah? I'm just saying, I would kill for Persona 6 to be set in college for just a change of pace. You're welcome to disagree with me. That's fine. After all, everyone is entitled to their objectively wrong opinion.
I think I dropped something on the floor that I need to pick up. So you bend and snap.
Please consider giving me a like and subscribing. It would really help me out. And hey, do you like stories about an interconnected world? Then consider giving my LP Seal books a try. They are all connected in some way, but you can jump in at any point, unless it's a series. Then you have to start at the beginning. But I got 3 books out right now and 3 coming next year. You will not have to wait long for content. Either way, thank you. I appreciate you. Do not despair.